Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Ayurmitra e-learning. Today, we are conducting a webinar on an introduction to Ayurvedic obesity management, lifestyle, and Ashtanga yoga by Dr. Amala Jyoti. It is my great pleasure to welcome such a dynamic and enlightening speaker. Before handing over the session, I would like to take the privilege of introducing ma'am. She completed her UG from Amrita School of Ayurveda, Kollam, and did her PG from SDM College of Ayurveda, Udupi. She hails from a traditional Ayurvedic family. She has presented papers in national and international seminars. She was the former faculty course trainer of cosmetology wing in SDM College of Ayurveda. Currently working as co-founder and chief physician of Heal with Food, Trivandrum, Kerala. By this, on behalf of the entire team Ayurmitra, I would like to welcome Dr. Amala Jyoti ma'am and all the participants to the session. Before starting the session, I would like to go through a few of the basic instructions to be followed throughout the session. For uninterrupted class session, use laptop with high-speed internet connection. Please make sure your microphone is on mute to have a disturbance-free session. In case of any disruption, please check your internet connection first, and if the problem is within our network connection, kindly raise the issue in the chat box. Filling your full name to be displayed is appreciated. Any suggestions or queries can be sent in the link provided in the chat box. Queries asked in the link will be addressed at the end of the session. With that, it is my great honor to invite ma'am to this platform. Now, I would like to hand over the session to ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Jyotsna. Okay. I think you should let me share my screen. Yeah, so good evening, everyone. So this is the pre-introductory session for our workshop on obesity. So this is introducing the healthy weight loss concept according to Ayurveda. So like uh, obesity has now become a very huge health concern. When you look into the statistics of any diseases, see, WHO has got diseases of the decade. So here, the diseases of the decade is the lifestyle disorders, which usually includes all the metabolic syndromes. And the reason for that is our improper lifestyle and unhealthy eating habits. So this has led down to a very bad health scenario among the people. And one of the major concern is obesity. So if you look into the statistics now that everyone knows the term epidemic, endemic, and pandemic, obesity is now classified as an epidemic, global epidemic, which is proceeding towards the title of being a pandemic. And the statistics of obesity has actually tripled post 1975, and the systemic disorders associated with it has become exponentially increased. So this is the high time we have to understand the importance of having a healthy lifestyle and maintaining a proper weight. And the major reason that this is the right time is since last 6 months, almost everyone is at their home, having their because of this lockdown. So we have a lot of restrictions to the way we are exercising, the way we go out and everything. And almost everyone on an average would have put on around 5+ kilogram. So this is the right time we have to understand how we can help them out within the restrictions given by the government and have a very safe and healthy weight loss journey. So as clearly mentioned, obesity is one of the biggest health problems in the world. It is associated with several related conditions collectively known as the metabolic syndrome. These include high blood pressure, elevated blood sugar, and a poor blood lipid profile. So people with this metabolic syndrome are at much higher risk of heart diseases and type 2 diabetes compared to those whose weight is in a normal range. So how do you define obesity? So many of us know what is obesity. We usually put it as medho, vriddhi, sthaulya, etc. So obesity is the condition in which the person's weight is 20% or above, higher than that of the normal. And it is a chronic condition defined by the excess amount of the body fat. And to be very precise, it is those individuals whose BMI is greater than 30. Okay, so you have different BMIs. It has to be above 30 for you to define a person as being obese. And always understand, obesity is a preventable disease which do require a lot of effort. So you have these health concerns associated with obesity. So you know this apple-shaped fat and pear-shaped body fat. So as I mentioned, metabolic syndrome or METS is a cluster of conditions that occur together, increasing your risk of the heart disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. These include increased blood pressure, high blood sugar, excessive body fat, especially around your abdomen or the waist, and abnormal cholesterol and triglyceride levels, which is nothing but all the Santarpana Janya Vyadhis according to Ayurveda. Earlier, obesity was a cosmetic consideration. So we always used to feel a bit self-conscious when we used to put on weight. I've had patients who come and say, ma'am, for me, it was not that much of an issue. But when we go to get a dress, they used to say, ma'am, okay, maybe triple XL size is not available. For you, size is not there. So that actually makes them self-conscious. So far, obesity was just a cosmetic consideration. But now, because of the advancement of all these technology, people are more aware of the health hazards also obesity causes. So it is a chronic medical condition that can lead to all the other metabolic syndromes and cardiovascular diseases such as heart diseases and other chronic illness. So it is also one of the precipitating factor for number of cancers and also for infertility. So usually who is in for a treatment for infertility, the first thing the gynecologist check is your waist to hip ratio and ask you to reduce your belly fat. So that is also one health hazard of obesity. And how to cure them? What is the prognosis of this obesity? So we all know it is very difficult to treat because it has got a high relapse rate. Because it is difficult to treat in the sense the only treatment is correcting the diet and lifestyle. So changing a person's diet and changing a person's lifestyle, because all the lifestyle that we are having now is all easy. It makes everything easy for us. Easy things makes us feel good, but at the same time, it makes us feel uh, heavy. It puts on weight. So to make a person shift from this to a healthy lifestyle is a very tedious procedure. But to sustain that is still more difficult. That is the reason why it has got a very good relapse rate. Whomever you have tried out or seen, adopting a yoga or adopting a specific diet or switching on to a healthier lifestyle, how many have sustained it? They will do it for maybe 6 months, maximum 1 year. Post that, having one cheat day in between will be enough for them to stop their diet and go back to their earlier lifestyle. So usually the statistics says most of the people who lose weight regain the weight they have lost within 5 years. And even though medications and diet can help, the treatment of obesity cannot be a short-term fix. You have all these fat diets, fat exercises, which say that, okay, this is possible. Lose weight in 1 week, lose 10 kgs in, have this pill, pop the pill and lose weight in 4 weeks. Lose 10 kgs in 4 weeks. You just Google how to lose 10 kgs. They will start pointing out, giving you the options like in a day, in a week, in 10 days. So that is the reason people always want to find the easier short-term fixes rather than spending energy and effort to cure themselves of this obesity. So it has to be a lifelong commitment to proper diet habits, increased physical activity, and a regular exercise. So you should always have 6 months follow-ups. You should have an ongoing healthy lifestyle support with the weight management service and to keep up with the healthy eating goals. On a person's average lifestyle environments, it affects the metabolic conditions, the financial environment, the mechanical environment, and the psychological environment. So as I told you, there are two terms which we always get confused: obesity versus overweight. And globesity is a new term termed for global obesity. So I told you, obesity is now proceeding towards being a pandemic. So they have coined this new term called globesity. Worldwide obesity has nearly tripled since 1975, and most of the world's population live in countries where overweight and obesity kills more people than underweight. But always keep reminding yourself it is preventable. And to differentiate between overweight and obesity, overweight is a BMI greater than or equal to 25, and obesity has a BMI greater than or equal to 30. So this is the way you have to define. If your BMI is from 25 to 29.9, it is you are overweight. If it is 30 or above, it is you are obese. Then how can you maintain your weight in a stable way? So the first thing, always, be it whatever science it should match the food intake, should match the energy expenditure. Okay, so whatever you consume should be utilized for the physical energy required for the physical activities you do, and it should also satisfy your feeding center and satiety center. So essentially, feeding center is satisfied when you have any food, but satiety center is not that easily satisfied. To satisfy that, you need to have something which is really rich in calories, like maybe a sugar, or maybe that's maybe a sweet, or something which is rich in fat. So if you know, even though you are full, if someone comes and offers you a pudding, a sweet dish, you'll be like, okay, a little bit I can take. Okay, so that is for the satiety center. For that to be satisfied, you should, it's not a compulsion. It is just that you have to feel satisfied that you have eaten. Okay, and one more thing is the quality of the food you take intake. So that usually depends on the availability of food. So most of the time, people who are staying at home, it is good for them because they get home cooked meals. But for people who are not at home, they don't have anyone to cook for them. Usually they will have some maid who comes and cooks all the three meals and go, or they take out. Okay, or they go and eat. So what happens is their calorie count increases, the portions increases, and the food is not that low on healthy things. It just they add in all these additives and taste enhancers, etc., which is actually not good for your body. And you know, when you go out and eat, you the first thing you see is the attractiveness of food, which will make you buy that even though it is not necessary. And one more thing is the emotional factors. Most of the time, when we are emotional, like we binge eat when we are happy, we binge eat when we are sad. So that is also one factor which affects the uh, weight and the weight gaining and the weight reduction. And if these factors are the triggering factors, there are some underlying causes. So the first one is the genetics. So there are some people for whom it runs in the family. So you can see the entire family is slightly healthier than the other people. So that is one triggering factor. Health issues. So we can have people who have some health issues which restrain them from doing a physical activity. And for them, they will put on, but they cannot exercise. Or there are other conditions which by which they are refrained from a lot of things. Their food habits, their proper daily routines will be hampered. So that is also one underlying causes. Then engineered junk foods. So I don't think I need to explain more on that, because whatever we see right now in the social media and all these advertisements and the hotels, it's most of the time engineered junk food, because they need to keep up with the portion sizes and the availability, depending on the cost also. See, if you try to take in the original sources, the proper food, you may not get that much for the demand, and the price also cannot be kept at the price at which they are selling. So usually they have some engineered junk foods. Food addiction. So most of the time we have all these addictions. Some people really need to have chocolate. Some people really needs to have certain addictions for food. Females usually see them in the premenopausal time. We might feel that, you know, just to make ourselves comfortable during the period time, we need to have something which is very rich in calories. That is food addiction. And aggressive marketing. So if at all you just search for Swiggy in Google, the next time you open Instagram, you open Facebook, you can see advertisements from Swiggy, Zomato, etc. So the marketing end is also very keen in making us succumb to our temptations. Next, you have insulin resistance, which is another triggering factor for obesity. And the major one, inactive lifestyle. So no matter whatever we take, if we burn them off, it is good. But we just take, we don't burn them off. Then there are certain medications whose complication is increased weight gain, and food availability we have already discussed. Sugar. So most of the time, the body cannot metabolize the unnatural forms of sugar, and that also indirectly affects the insulin levels and causing obesity. Then misinformation. There are a lot of informations which you find in the Google, which people trust rather than trusting their doctors. So when we tell them, see, this is not good, this is not good, they were like, no, 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 doctor, you are wrong. You have to check it once again because I've read it in Google that this is this. So many times people don't bother to go and consult with the doctor. Whatever they get from the internet, though it is half knowledge, though it is a misinformation, they blindly accept that and adopt it. So that is also one major cause for obesity. So if you look into the types of obesity, so you have the android obesity and the gynoid obesity. So android obesity is the apple-shaped obesity, which is usually found in males, which is excessive accumulation of the fat above the waistline, that is in the belly region. Next, you have the pear-shaped obesity or the gynoid obesity, where usually it is characterized by the amount of fat accumulated below the waistline, that is around the hip and thighs. So you can see that android obesity is associated with excessive visceral and subcutaneous fat, and the abdominal girth, that is the circumference, is bigger than the hip circumference. And if you consider the complications of obesity, android obesity will give rise to a lot of metabolic syndrome and a heavier health hazards. If you look into pear-shaped obesity, the waist is relatively thinner as compared to the apple-shaped obesity, but they have larger hips, and it is more associated with subcutaneous fat rather than visceral fat. And their complications, the other health complications, are comparatively lesser than that of apple-shaped obesity. So you can see in the pictures the deposition of fat in different areas. So this is the classification. And based on the demographic data, there are another 6 types of obesity. So one is the younger healthy females. So this is based on the study which was done in Yorkshire University. So what they understood was that the younger healthy females were the largest group in the study, which was also the youngest and displayed the most healthy habits. The next one is the heavy drinking males. Although overweight, this group engages in some healthy behaviors and reported above average levels of physical exercises. They showed similar characteristics to the group above, and except with the respect to their high alcohol consumption. Then unhappy, anxious middle age. So middle age is the time when people are stressed out either with their social problems, the family problems, or their professional problems. So this actually makes them have a poor mental health and reported insomnia, depression, anxiety, and fatigue. And they also have a low alcohol consumption, but all these trigger onto their type, so increase obesity. Then affluent, healthy, elderly. So you have the upper class people who has all these physical activities and etc. But they have a very high blood sugar and above average alcohol consumption. Physically sick but happy elderly. So this group has a higher prevalence of chronic health conditions such as diabetes, high blood pressure, but exhibited low levels of anxiety and depression. Then the people with the poorest health. So this is the people who had the highest level of pains and fatigue, dealt with the most chronic health conditions. Okay, so these are the types of obesity seen according to the demographic data. Now we'll see the android obesity. So android obesity is typically a male pattern obesity. And you can see there is 3 different types of deposition based from overeating, stress obesity, and obesity from inactivity. And I think the maximum patients which I'm getting right now is from the 3rd group, obesity from inactivity, because earlier whoever used to work, they used to say at least we used to move on till the parking area, then drive to the office, from the office parking area to their seat. Everything was at least a little bit of physical activity was there. But now, because they're all working from home, even that is not there. Okay, so upper body or android obesity is more common in males than in females. And it is a fat storage phenotype that encourages with advancing ages. Okay, so this usually says that it is in males, but that does not mean that it is absent in females. Females also exhibit android obesity, mostly after menopause when estrogen level begins to drop off. So classically, they have these gut or beer bellies or the upper body truncal area fat. This is the gynoid obesity, where you can see the gluten obesity, atherogenic metabolic imbalance, and obesity due to venous channels. So this is the second so-called sex-specific fat accumulation that manifests itself in very specific areas. So the fat is stored in hip, thigh, buttock, in addition to the lower abdominal area above the triceps muscles in the back of the upper arms. So gynoid obesity is associated with a lesser risk of potential health complications than android obesity. Okay, so this is also obesity. Now, see, those who have who want to lose weight, the first thing they search is for things which is actually good, and you can get thousands and thousands of solutions for that. So you can see that a noticeably slimmer, firmer you in just 4 weeks. Garcinia was very good in market. Okay, lose 30 plus without diet, just eat this. You have all the meal replacement things. But, will these actually work? Being Ayurvedic people, we all should know that all of us are unique and we don't lose weight the same way. We see someone who has lost weight and we ask them, what did you do? So they will give us, we have tried this, we didn't eat this, we ate this, we did so much of work. And we will also blindly adopt them. Not many a times it will not work out, but sometimes it do work out. There is a difference in the way all of us lose weight because all of us are unique. And Ayurveda always very specifically says it is the treatment of the rogi and not the roga. When you treat the rogi, the symptoms also associated, which is seen in him, comes down. And all of us are unique because we have our own prakritis, vata, pitta, kapha. So we all know vata is mostly of akasha, vayu, mahabhuta. Pitta, though predominantly it has agni and jala, it has the most predominant thing is the agni, and kapha is the prithvi and jala mahabhuta. But what is this pancha mahabhutas does it have any relation to the weight gain or weight loss? So if you look into the properties of Ayurvedic Prakriti, I mean Vata Prakriti people, they have excellent agility, dry skin and hair, thin frame. Okay, so we can, if you imagine air or akasha, it is something which is very light, it keeps on moving, it dries up things. So the physical framework of these people will also be very thin. These are the type of people who usually have this problem of never putting on weight. So whenever we do a group session on weight loss, there will be a group of people saying, ma'am, what can we do for gaining weight? So ideally, it will be these Vata Prakriti people. They are always blessed with the thin frame, and most of the time it is associated with heavy metabolism. If you look into what modern science is, they say thin people has a very fast metabolism. They can digest anything anything that they can consume. But does Ayurveda go along with it? Does Vata Prakriti people have a consistent Agni? No, their Agni is not consistent. Okay. Next is Pitta. So Pitta has got the perfect digestion, lustrous complexion, strong appetite. They are very precise, sharp-witted, direct, outspoken. So all the other things need not matter to us, but for us, what matters is perfect digestion. So what is the advantage and disadvantage of perfect digestion? If you are having a high calorie food, that is you consume in things which is calories which your body over calories than what your body need, it gets digested properly, and whatever is extra, it is stored in the body. So Pitta Prakriti people has a tendency to put on weight fast. At the same time, if they adopt a healthy lifestyle and a proper diet, that is they consume on food which is on lower calories, etc., that also get digested and assimilated in the proper way, helping them to lose weight faster. So this is the group of people who has the confidence saying that it's okay, even if I put on, I can reduce it faster. So these are the people who easily puts on weight, at the same time easily reduce their weight also. The next one is the Kapha Prakriti. So Kapha, see, our entire life cycle is also based on that. We say Balavastha is more of Kapha Prakriti because that is the age of growing. And Kapha is the building block of growth. growth. It gives you to the physical stature, it gives you the stability, what all is required for the growth. So that is one reason why Kapha Prakriti people have more of a stronger build, heavy built people. And they have, because it is all stable and everything, they have a aversion towards physical activity. So these people find it very difficult to lose the weight that they have gained. And as eating food is their passion, their aversion is the any sort of physical activity. And one more thing is, see, always Kapha Prakriti people, when they come to you for weight loss, it requires constant motivation. I'll tell you today, we do weight loss programs in groups for corporates. So today, the first one group was ended. So ideally, I had around in the group of 15, around 8 were Kapha Prakriti people. In that, 4 of them dropped off in between. Okay. The other 4, one was consistent. He was very good. I'll be sharing his diet plan, the way he has lost weight, everything. I'll show it to you. So this actually, he told that, he had always started off with various diet programs, but he stopped it after 3 or 4 weeks. Always being motivated consistently was what has achieved, helped him achieve. He has lost around 6.1 kgs in 7 weeks. Okay, that is very good for a Kapha Prakriti person, because for them, the weight loss is very slow because they don't do the physical activity at all. But Kapha Prakriti people, when they are motivated, they stick on to their goals and they can achieve the weight loss in a easier way. I'll show you how we have done that. Now, before we move on how to manage the obesity, we all should know if we are healthy. So there are different methods of understanding the how healthy you are. So we all know the first thing, what is the body mass index, wherein you have it based on your height and weight, and you have these categories you can see on the screen. If you're underweight, that means your BMI is less than 18.5. 18.5 to 24.9 is healthy weight. 25.0 to 29.9 is overweight, and above 30 is obese. So this is the BMI standards. The next one is waist circumference, and the third one is waist to hip ratio, WHR, and fourth is the body fat percentage. So we'll see what they are. So waist circumference is obviously the circumference around the waist. So how you should take it? You should stand up straight and exhale. So, whenever there is a common habit, if someone comes to you who always taunts you for being obese, you just inhale. So, when you inhale, your tummy goes in. That is not the time to measure your waist circumference. You have to exhale. And once you exhale, you have to measure it. Wrap a tape measure just above your hip bones. Hold the tape measure flat against the body, not too tight, and take a reading. So this is how you measure your waist circumference. And to compare it with the standard, for men, if it is below 94 centimeter, that means it's a low risk case of obesity. If it is somewhere from 94 centimeter to 40 centimeter, 102 centimeter, that is 40 inches, that is you have a medium risk of obesity. And if it is above 102 centimeters, that is above 40 inches, it is a high risk case of obesity. For females, it is 80 centimeters or less than that, that is 31.5 inches. If it is less than that, it is a low risk of obesity. If it is from 31.5 to 34 inches, that is 80 to 88 centimeter, it is a medium risk for obesity. Above 88 centimeter or 34 inches, it is a high risk case of obesity. The next one is the waist to hip ratio. So how do you measure them? You can see the waist measurement and the hip measurement. And how you take it is waist by hip. And the ratio should be 0.80. Okay, 0.80. So in there's a difference in females and males. So female, if your waist to hip ratio, WHR ratio, is less than 0.80, it is low. Okay, that means your health risk is very low and you are healthy. Your body shape will be that of a pear, not the pear-shaped obesity, but the normal body weight. If it is from 0.81 to 0.85, you have a moderate health risk and you have an avocado body shape. 0.85 plus is high and you have an apple-shaped obesity or the body type, and you are high risk for obese. Similarly, in men, it is 0.95 or below, which indicates a lower health risk. 0.96 to 1 is a moderate health risk indicator, and greater than 1 ratio is a high risk for obesity. Body fat percentage, you have different methods for calculating the fat percentage. So this is the standardized chart. So for different age, you should have the proportionate fat percentages in your body. So you can see that as you age, you can have a little bit more of the fat content in the body. That is perfectly fine. So this is the way you have to maintain the fat percentages for men and women separately. So that also is indicating of a excellent, good, fair, poor, and dangerously high tendency towards obesity. Now there is a lot of other sides. There are things which we do that is affecting the uh, that is causing these obesity and making our lifestyle very bad. The first one is fat diet. So if you know the definition, fat diets is anything which will promise you unrealistic promises. Okay, saying that this will be, you do this, you get so much of weight loss. We don't know whether it is proven or whether it has any unhealthy side effects. So usually people do this fat diets. They were like, I can try anything, but not exercise. But always convince them weight loss is a combination of balanced diet and exercise. A fat diet is something which promises quick weight loss through what could be a unhealthy and unbalanced diet. And initially, what you lose is the water weight, and that will continue to happen, which may cause harm in later stages of the diet. The next one is skipping meals. So one thing people always think of is, if you skip your meal, you lose weight. So understand, your body is also very smart. What you are as a macro thing, your body's everything is in the same way. So if you are deprived of something, next time you come across it, you start storing them for future uses. So that is what, see, if you are if you say that there was lockdown, shops will not be there. So what people did is, they just went and started buying all the things and started storing it. Your body also does that. When you think that, okay, from tomorrow I'll skip my breakfast or I'll skip my dinner, what happens is your body immediately switches on to the starvation mode. So it gets into this panic mode and it starts the defense mechanism by storing whatever is there in your body, so that next time you skip a meal, it can use this stored energy. So skipping your meal decreases your overall metabolism and slows down the weight loss process. Also, it makes you grab high calorie food, that is sugary and fat laden food, just to satisfy your satiety center. So don't skip meals. Plan your meals depending on the calorie and your physical energy expenditure. Then skipping breakfast. Now that is a big trend because of this intermittent fasting and everything. But always understand, the breakfast should be like that of a king. You should have proper breakfast because it gives you the full energy supply for the entire day. So usually people who are used to eating breakfast, if you skip it, that entire day you will have a headache, you will feel low on energy. So never skip your breakfast. You should have enough blood sugar to keep your body active for the entire day. Too many processed food. So most of the time, given an option of French fries or maybe a bowl of corn, we will go for the French fries. We need processed food because they are more filled with taste enhancers. It makes so appealing. We just feel like this is something which you should have, but they increase the risk of diabetes, hypertension, and high cholesterol. Added sugar, as I told you, most of the time what we feel, they say zero added sugar. Okay, so but if you look into it, there will not be sucrose. You will have all the other forms of sugar which is in that. So you understand, body cannot metabolize unnatural sugars that we consume from different packaged food. Eating out a lot, usually for getting more and more clients, the restaurants and takeouts will have heavy portion sizes, which invites a calorie overload. Then mindless emotional eating, endless snacking, eating while distracted, or eating on the run. So all these come under one category, that is, you eat without giving importance to the food. So most of the time when we eat, we are either watching TV, we are talking to your friends, we are going through our phone. Whatever is there on the plate, we eat. So even if someone refills it again and again, we will not understand, because we are not giving enough attention towards the food which is there, but just eating it. So this is not good. And one more thing is emotional eating. As I told you, you have anorexia nervosa. We have the opposite condition, which is bulimia. So whenever you are under certain stress, you binge eat just to make sure you feel happy. Eating while distracted is the same thing. Eating on the run. So usually you have these meal replacements which is coming, saying that you have one energy bar which is good for, which counts in all the calories required, and you need not have a breakfast. So that also is not that healthy. Too many liquid calories. So most of the time what happens is when you count your calories, you might miss on the liquid calories. It's not the ones what we usually prepare at home. You have KFC, you have a Coke to go with it. So when you calculate the calories, you have the calorie of the KFC, a chicken, or maybe the pizza or the donut, whatever is it. We forget the calorie of the drink accompanied with that. So that also adds on to our calorie intake. So the basic thing what we follow is having a proper metabolism, which will aid you a proper weight loss. Because if you assimilate whatever is happening, if there is no armor in the body, your body will not put on, provided you eat within the required calories. So nowadays, this is metabolism diet is the most trending diet. Uh, so the principle goes hand in hand with your Ayurveda, but a little bit myths are there, which is actually not true. Okay, so exercise and other habits have the biggest controllable impact on the metabolism and the way your body processes the food you consume. So usually, if you have these changes in your daily habits and lifestyle, you can resolve to commit for a boosted, excited metabolism that is properly fueled. So these are the myths. If you are skinny, your metabolic rate is high. But we know Vata Prakriti people has a Vishama Agni. So someday they will have a good appetite, someday no. You cannot do much about your metabolism. No, we can control our metabolism. Eating smaller meals in more numbers is good for metabolism. No, only eating when you are hungry is good for your metabolism. So this is some of the common comparisons which has been given for slow metabolism versus fast metabolism. So this is just for your understanding. Fast metabolism means it's a stage of metabolism responsible for burning higher amount of calories, has a fast basal metabolic rate, and it helps you burn more calories during activities. And these people will be tall, have lot of lean muscles, and relatively a active thyroid level, and they do not have a easy weight gain. Whereas slow metabolism is the metabolism stage responsible for burning a lower amount of calories even during activities. And these people will be short, have lesser lean muscle mass, and less active thyroid level. And it allows you for increased weight gain. And that next myth is fast metabolism means you can eat anything irrespective of its calorie count. No, you have to, your metabolism can be fast, but if you go overload with your calorie count, even that can help you put on weight. So this is also a myth you have to forget. Now, the types of fat diet. So fat diets, as I already told, it is a popular non-standard diets that often promise dramatic weight loss, but without scientific evidence for the most, and with dangerous dietary advice for some. So the most common thing is that these are the H diets, which has got the highest, which is followed globally by a large number of people. So you have the Atkins diet, South Page diet, vegan diet, ketogenic diet, paleo diet, the zone diet, the Dukan diet, and the 5:2 diet. So many of them have a positive side as well as a negative side. So we will discuss 2 or 3 here, and if later when we are doing the course in detail, we'll be going through each and every one of them and how it is bad for us and how it is beneficial and how you can incorporate this in your diet planning. So I'll be explaining Atkins diet because Atkins diet is, I'm not explaining keto because keto is almost similar to your Atkins diet. It's just that there is a slight difference. So Atkins diet is the most famous low carb weight loss diet in the world, which was created by the cardiologist Robert Atkins in the early 1970s. It claims to produce rapid weight loss without hunger, and it consists of different stages, including an initial 2 week of induction phase that restricts carbs to 20 grams per day, but unlimited amounts of protein and fat. During this phase, your body begins converting the fat into ketosis. So your body shifts to ketosis, or it produces ketones and switches that to as the main source of energy. So keto diet is also the same. You have a restriction of carbs to 20 grams per day, but you also have a restriction to the protein and fat, which should not go over 200 grams per day. The next difference is after the initial induction phase, the Atkins diet asks its followers to gradually add back their carbs in 5-gram increments. So they will see at what is the critical carbohydrate level. That is, what is the carbohydrate level that the person can tolerate. So daily you increase 5 grams and see how your body is maintaining this ketosis or and losing weight, or is it going back to the normal stage. So this is also different from keto diet because keto diet does not allow the increase in the carb post this induction phase. So you have two types of keto also, which is the strict keto and the restrictive keto. Strict keto is almost nil carb. By restrictive keto, it is a low carb diet. So this is Atkins and keto diet. Next is the South Beach diet. So this was founded by Dr. Arthur Agatson, a cardiologist in the mid 1990s. He created a low carb, low fat and high protein diet. So Atkins had low carb, high fat and high protein. This is low carb, low fat and high protein diet. So although the stage 1 is low in carb and very low in fat, the diet becomes less restrictive in phases 2 and 3, which allow limited quantities of all types of unprocessed food while keeping the protein intake high. So if we can look into all the diets, almost everything advises on unprocessed food, no takeaways, you have to cook your own meal. So this diet encourages a high intake of protein because protein has been shown to burn more calories during digestion than carbs or fat. So in addition, they also stimulate the release of hormones that suppress hunger and can help you feel full for hours. There is reduction in fasting insulin levels and an increase in CCK or the cholecystokinin, a hormone that promotes fullness. So this is a nutritious diet, but it requires unwarranted drastic restriction to saturated fat and encourages the use of processed vegetables and seed oils, which may lead to all kinds of health problems. So I think last month we have had a death reported due to keto diet. It was reported death. So there was a film actress who had died due to excessive keto diet, strict keto diet, due to kidney failure. Okay, so there are complications associated with all these diets. So vegan diet have been criticized for being unbalanced and extreme because they contain no animal produce. So it includes the honey, it includes the milk or any milk products also. But on the other hand, they have been praised for being ethical, healthy way of eating. Importantly, vegan diets can be healthy or unhealthy depending on the foods they contain. So it is unlikely that you can lose weight while eating a large amount of processed food and beverages. So all these diet at one point restricts the processed food and beverages, which is also a very good start for losing weight. So we have looked into some couple of things. Now, which diet actually works? So you have to plan the diet according to the prakriti and the calorie requirement of each person. Okay, so this is sharing some of the cases which we have at Heal with Food. So this is from Peter. He is a Pitta Prakriti person and he was very consistent. He has this healthy living something. It's a pattern followed in US. He was in US for 20 years and he was somewhere 100 plus kgs before he shifted into this 110 or something. Okay, he was in that. He had reduced it to 92, 94. That was his average, but he maintained that for 20 years. No matter whatever he did, he had a very strict lifestyle, very proper food habits. In spite of that, he never reduced it more than, less than 94. So he had come to us at 14th of July, he started the treatment. Okay, so 14th of July, he started off with our kit, which was, I'll be telling you how we can do that also. So at that day, what we do is we ask them before they start off any treatment for weight loss to check the weight first, but at the same time, take body measurements. Because what happens is whenever you go for a weight loss journey, initially you will have some weight loss, which is like whatever excess water retention is happening in your body, that is easily lost. But post that, you have a plateau phase of weight loss wherein you will not lose a single kg for some months. Okay, maybe it can be some weeks or some months. Most of the people get less motivated or discouraged in this stage, and they stop their weight loss journey. So to keep them motivated, we ask them to measure the inches. So even though the weight remains constant, their inches come down. Okay, so this is the reason why we keep them, so that they will also be encouraged to keep on losing the weight and stick on to the diet and lifestyle. So you can see that on 14th July he started, and after 1 month he has lost around 4 kgs. That is 16th of August, and again 3rd September. So this is not 2 months, it is 7 weeks. He has lost 84.4, so around 8 kg plus he has lost. This is through Ashtanga yoga, which is a proper variation of, it's a variation of proper Surya Namaskara, and along with the diet which was curated for each week. Okay, so this is the one case of a Pitta Prakriti person. I've had very little Vata Prakriti person in this. So this is to show you that the weight loss is sometimes you see in the, this is for Kandar. So for 21st, he had 83 kgs, and on 4th, he has 83 kgs. But you can notice that his inches had come down. See, the waist had come down by ½ inch, the chest has come down by 1 inch, the thighs had remained the same, the arms had come down by 3 inches, the neck was also remaining the same. So there are times, see, if they come to you for your clinic for weight loss, and then they say that I'm doing this, but the weight is not changing. By 2 weeks, if they don't find any considerable change, they will actually leave it. So this can be prevented if you start maintaining this chart. And if you can see, I'll just show you the sheet also once. So this is Nilesh. I'll show his latest thing. So 1 second, let me just share it. Yeah. So this is Nilesh. So this is the person who I was talking. He has lost 6.1 kgs in 7 weeks. So this was a program for Cognizant. You can see he had started off with 119.9 kg. And today morning, his weight was 113.8. And his waist had come 50 to 47. The chest 49 to 47. Thighs 24 to 21.8. Arms 15 to 13.5. And neck 17 to 16. I'll just show you the standard weight loss program which we advise. So this usually is what we give to our patients. So when they buy our weight loss kit, we start off with the general guidelines, what has to be taken, why it has to be taken. We tell you, this is a general one. It can be downloaded by anyone for free. So we give them recommendation on fruits. What are the fruits which they can have and why they should not have it. So most of the time, our main principle is keeping a tab on the glycemic index. So glycemic index is something by which, you eat a food, within 2 hours, you check your blood sugar and see how much elevation is there in the blood sugar. So if you have a heavier or a higher rise in the blood sugar, that means it has got a high glycemic index. For weight loss, the ideal glycemic index should be less than around 55. Okay, you can have anything which has got a glycemic index less than 55 for having a active weight loss. 55 to 70 is average, and above 70 is heavily a high glycemic index food, which is to be a big no during weight loss journey. Then we give them the recommendation on vegetables. We see the recommendation on grains, because most of the time we have a grain is one major part of our lifestyle. So usually we slowly shift them. I'll show you how the shifting was done. Then recommendation on dairy products. Then the weight loss diet plan. So this is the average diet plan which we give. So for the purpose of hydration, we ask them to have about 8 glasses of any liquid. So it can be a juice with black salt or honey, herbal tea. We have our own herbal teas or jeera water. For breakfast, for detox, we ask them to have something with millets or maybe a fruit bowl, etc. Or maybe some vegetable which is steamed or baked with salt and spice. Lunch should be a wholesome nutrition, which should be from 12 to 2 time. You can have a pepper, vegetable soup, or a non-vegetarian soup with pepper. You can have mixed vegetable salad, etc. Snacks, initial 1 or 2 weeks we give them for satisfying satiation. It is minimal. If possible, you have to avoid. And if you see, this is a very healthy options that we give. And dinner is for repairing and rebuilding. We ask them to have the dinner by 7, nothing after 8. Even that is also something which has to be very light. So we give them these options also. And for lifestyle modification, we ask them to burn the calories. So maintain a healthy BMI. So this is very general, which anyone can take in. This is something which they can try from their end for some time and see whether it is working out. If it is not working out, see, it might be due to their determination as well. Not many people sustain this, but some people who are interested, they come for personalized consultations and charts. I'll show you the chart which we do. So this is the first week. So first week, what we do is we ask them, we have a weight loss tea or a combination of turmeric and pepper. Breakfast and lunch remains the same. We'll not change it. Dinner, we start changing. So dinner, we ask them, depending on their current schedule. So he had rice, so we asked them to start reducing the rice quantity or number of days of rice, and reduce the number of rotis by 1. Make chapatis with wheat along with millet. And the Surya Namaskaras, the link was sent to them and we asked them to start practicing the Surya Namaskara. He is a Kapha Prakriti person, so we asked him to have water which is boiled with shunti before each meal, and 2 to 3 liters of water which is boiled with the drink. And sleep also, starts shifting the sleep 30 minutes early. So then he has the habit of having maida, that is biscuits and everything. So we ask them to reduce on that as well. At the end of the week, we have to ask them how much they achieved. So we asked him to avoid rice, but he had rice only once in the week, and reduce the rotis from 4 to 3. And we suggested 5 to 7 cycles of Surya Namaskara, but he was able to do only 3-4 cycles. So week 2, the customization starts from a little bit more. We push them a little bit more, seeing with the achievement he has done the previous week. So you can see that lunch and breakfast continues the same. Dinner was swiftly completed to a weight-based diet. And if you can see, he has achieved completely avoided rice the last week. And rotis also, he had alternated with jowar, bajra or fulkas in lunch and dinner. Okay. And he was able to complete 6 cycles of Surya Namaskara. So this is the 3rd week. Again, we start on. So you can see every time the instructions also keep changing, and his goal, his achievements also has improved. Okay, so he started having morning walks also, and from 4 he has completed around 9 cycles of Surya Namaskara. The 5th month, again 5th week, again we start updating. So once the dinner is proper, we ask them to change the lunch. And once the lunch is also becoming healthier, we start changing the breakfast. So by the end of 6 weeks, you can see that the diet is almost very proper, because they have 9th week was intermittent fasting, just to get a faster weight loss result. So we gave them a brunch option. He is a Kapha Prakriti person. For Kapha Prakriti person, it is okay to have a late breakfast. Okay, compared to a Vata and Pitta Prakriti person, which is difficult. But for Kapha Prakriti person, we can have a little bit delay in having the breakfast. And evening Surya Namaskara, 15 to 20 cycles. We also do a Surya Namaskara with a different variation. In Ashtanga Surya Namaskara, we have another variation where one cycle takes around 15 to 20 minutes. So that also we start them to start doing it, and we include other yogasanas, Pada Sanchalanasana, Chakrapadasana, Surya Namaskaras, etc. So all these we start along with including pranayamas. So pranayama is also very good for losing the weight. So this is his achievement, and within the 6 weeks he had lost 6 kgs. For him it was very good, and he is planning to continue it again. So one thing is, if you make a change over a period of 6 to 7 weeks, what happens is it is a very slow change. The person will not see. If someone comes to me for, or if I go to someone for a weight loss, They tell that tomorrow onwards, you are not eating this, you are not eating this, you are strictly following this diet. I will not do it. I might do it for 2 or 3 days. I will just do that for 2 or 3 days, nothing more than that. So after 4 5 days, I'll just drop it. I'll not even bother to pick the doctor's call. I'll stop going to them. But when we slowly implement it, they will not understand. So you can see that first the dinner was changed, slowly the lunch was altered, and along with that, the breakfast at the last stage. And at the same time, you can see that their increase in stamina, their tolerance for doing the exercises, that also increased. So we have had people who had very extreme weight loss, like in the sense 20 kgs in 3 months, wherein first 1 week was with Vireshana. So with Vireshana only, you lose around 4 to 5 kgs. And this is the Pravicharana Snehapana Vireshana, which I do here. So that you lose around 4 to 5 kgs. Post that, we start off with this. But this heaviest weight loss, like 20 kgs, it is for people who are comfortable doing this Surya Namaskara. So they are starting off only is with 15 cycles a day. It goes up to 25 cycles a day. Okay, so once you do that, by 2 to 3 months, you can lose around 20 kgs. But sustaining that is a bit difficult because it takes a lot of effort. And once the question arises is, post the 20 kgs, will they gain it back? No, because post this achievement of their weight loss, what we do is we reduce the number of Surya Namaskaras. We give them enough for maintaining this weight loss, this weight. So it differs from person to person, but we tell them, see, go back to 15 or go back to 10 daily. And weekly, we give the 5:2 diet, wherein 2 days we ask them to do intermittent fasting. And 5 days, a normal, this healthy diet. So with the 2 days, what happens is they go for a calorie deficit, which is maintained. And that helps you to control the weight in that level consistently. So this is one successful, because maybe last December, I joined Heal with Food. From January, we have been trying out various weight loss programs, which actually didn't work at all, because most of the people, they lose their motivation. So what we found out was, what the first thing I do was, as soon as they come for a weight loss journey, I tell them, go and tell the people who always taunts you, saying that you are overweight, tell them that you have started on a weight loss journey. What happens is they will just keep on telling what happened to your weight loss, you are still like this. Or you tell it to 5 or 10 people, so that next time they keep asking you what has happened to it. So on that peer pressure, you will start, you will continue to stay motivated, and then control on the diet, lifestyle, and lose the weight fast. And one more thing, what we do this is a group session. So whenever you have some patients who's willing to come for the weight loss, put them into a group. So every day ask them for updates. So whenever you ask them for updates, there will be some lazy people, Kapha Prakriti people in the group. They will be very lazy. So one day they will be like, madam, we had some problem, we didn't do it. But putting the same excuses again and again will actually make them feel embarrassed. And just out of that pure pressure, they start losing weight. So this is the reason why we started having programs in group, which is giving us nice result. Obviously, there will be dropouts. There will be people who don't do it at all. But they will be a majority of people who will be benefited with this way of losing weight. So this is how you have to plan the diet and implement it. I told you, slow implementation without the person acknowledging the fact that they are they are shifting something healthy. Whenever we say you have to do something healthy, the people will be like, no, I cannot do it. They will not even think whether it is possible or not. So please implement it in this way. Now, if you have any questions, please do ask me. This is a very vague, very, very wide topic. So this is just introduction to this, how you can implement it. What are I just said about glycemic index. There is glycemic load. How do you understand that? How do you plan for the diet? See, we also have a weight loss kit. This is, I'm not telling that it is, you have to use our own things. You can do with the things. See, in this, I don't think Kandarp or Nilesh had brought a weight loss kit. They have managed it with the things at their home. Okay, when it is coming for practice, it is not possible, but there are certain things that you can include in the kit and start selling them as a package. So that also is one very good revenue. If you start off with very basic promises like 6 kgs in 2 months is something a healthy weight loss. So if you achieve that, once you crack the goal of weight loss, you will get a lot of people, because weight loss is hottest selling thing in the market. So whenever you say that doctor has a good weight loss schedule, lot of people will come, or whatever, whoever is successful. We had reference from the first group. For the second group, we had people who was referred by the first group of people. So that will always happen, and it is one very good source of revenue with little effort. The only effort is maintaining the group active and also planning the diet every week. So I think we can take in some questions right now.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, before moving on to the queries, we would like to make a special announcement. Ayurmitra e-learning is planning to conduct an advanced online training program on Ayurvedic obesity management, diet, lifestyle, and Ashtanga Ayurveda, conducted by Dr. Amala Jyoti, founding consultant, Heal with Food, Bangalore, and Susan Jacob, nutritionist, head of department, QUA Nutrition, Kolkata. Only limited seats are available. Those who are interested can register through the link provided in the chat box. Thank you. So, participants with any questions can raise their queries in the link provided in the chat box.
And one thing we have to understand is you cannot plan a diet for Vata, Pitta, Kapha, Prakriti also. And you cannot have based on calories also. You cannot have based on ages also, because everyone's need is separate. And how you charge them? See, at our at from Heal with Food, we charge 5,000 plus taxes for this 2 months program. So 5,000 plus taxes include one personal consultation, followed by weekly update. Okay, so weekly we have to plan them, and every week we conduct one session for the group. In this session, we tell them, slowly we start telling them how, what is importance of an Ayurvedic lifestyle, what is the importance of having this food, why should you not do this, how is the exercises to be done. So you can have a session like that, or you can just update them. If it is for a personal thing, update them, because usually the supplements, what you get, these Garcinia tablets or anything, these one bottle will, 1 month course only will be somewhere around 8,000 plus. So those who are willing to really lose weight, they will be willing to spend. And for you, your effort is there. It's not that you don't have any effort. You have to plan every week. You have to follow them up. You have to customize their diet. That is there. So, and one more thing is, obesity, cosmetology, trichology should be priced slightly higher, so that the people accept it, because these are considered to be rich man's problem. Okay, so you should always price them a slightly high. So 5,000 is what we charge, because mainly our clients are from corporates, but you can have them some discounts and everything, and then price it according to the type of patients you have.
Okay, ma'am. Thank
Yeah.
you. Ma'am, we have few questions.
Yes.
Can you please suggest priority medicines for weight loss?
See, whatever I have achieved, I have shown you. The first is the morning drink. So ideally, we have a combination of spices. We have turmeric, pepper, cinnamon combination. So, turmeric, the active ingredient is curcumin. Curcumin's main, it is very good for weight loss. So you can give curcumin, that is turmeric. But curcumin, when it comes with pepper, that is piperine, it gets potentiated. So if you want to prepare, you can have a preparation of cinnamon, pepper, and cinnamon is also very good for losing weight. So you can make your own combination, which we give it as the first thing in the morning, early morning booster shot. If the person, you can see in the diet, we have to see, many of the time people ask for product pushing. Is it a product pushing program? So we don't give them. We ask them, okay, do this with the thing. You have 1 teaspoon. So that is 2.5 grams of turmeric, 2.5 grams of pepper. Mix it in 300 ml of water. Have it first thing in the morning. If you want, you can add half a lemon or maybe a little bit of honey also. That is one thing. For the proper metabolism and controlling the vata, we give them Hingvashtaka Churna with the lunch. Okay. And then we give them a drink, detox drink. So ideally, it will have a diuretic because it helps you to flush out the excessive water weight, and 1 or 2 ingredients, which is very good for losing weight. Like you have asana and Vijay Sar and all that. and some of the ingredients which is good for skin. So you can make a combination of the things which is available at you. You can make any combination, but always add sariva, musta, ushira in that, because it makes them a bit tasty. So what we do is we have these detox drinks. We ask them to have 3 liters of it daily. So 3 liters in the sense, we will ask them to have 1.5 to 2 tablespoons. So it is around 20 grams of that. Boil it in water and then drink it. So one thing is their water consumption is proper, and this will also help them to lose the weight. So these are the only thing which we give. But obviously when they come for panchakarma now, we give udvartana with kottam chukati or kola kulathati. We give them virechana with, I give them snehapana, pravicharna snehapana, that is with diet restriction. Normal ghee I give them for 5 days. With virechana I'll give them with travel So this is possible. This much is sufficient to get a healthy weight loss. You need not give them more of a medicine supplement.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Diet tips for diabetic patients with obesity.
See, ideally, if you look in through the Ayurvedic perspective, it is all Sandarpana Janya Vyadis. You have to go for Apatarpana. So, and these diets has a lower glycemic index of 55, which is good for diabetic people. So when you say glycemic index, it is always related to diabetic, because it glycemic index indicates the things which raise the blood sugar 2 hours after lunch. So that means it is getting digested faster. It spikes up your sugar level. So this is something diabetic people have to take care of. So anything which is having a glycemic index less than 55 is ideal.
Thank you, ma'am. Can we change our body type from one dosha to another dosha by maintaining balanced diet and exercise in order to have a healthy lifestyle?
You cannot change your prakriti. We cannot change it, but you can always keep them at check. You can just ensure that the diet and lifestyle will not aggravate it. See, we know Pitta Prakriti, you are born with it. It is continued for your lifetime. Kapha Prakriti also, it is there. But you can control the metabolism, because Kapha Prakriti people have very poor metabolism. Digestion is very slow. So you can do the diet and lifestyle changes to improve the metabolism, thus reducing the side effects. So you cannot change your Prakriti type, but you can always ensure that it is well maintained.
Thank you, ma'am. Uh, how many calories do we have to burn in a day in order to achieve weight loss? Minimum calorie burn for the intake of calorie. Is there any ratio for that?
See, there are so many calorie calculators. So if you go into those websites, they'll ask you, how many hours do you think you are active in a day? How many hours do you sit and work? How many hours do you walk? How many hours is there active sit? So based on that, usually they will give you your calorie requirement. But ideally, it will be, if you maintain the 1200 to 1500 calorie diet, you can you can go for a calorie deficit thing and lose your weight. So how I implement on calorie burning is, see, you have to burn more than 500 calories together to lose weight. But asking them to suddenly increase, that is difficult. So ideally, I ask them to use these type of watches and see how much calorie they burn in a day, like whatever normal thing they do, how many calories do they burn at the end of a day. Next day, increase it by 25 to 40, depending on their job and everything. So just ensure daily they keep increasing 25 to 40 calories extra, burn that. So by the end of 10 days, they would have burned around 250 to 400 calories extra. So no one will do it that strictly, but by the end of a month, you can help them achieve that much calorie burning requirement. So ideally, actively burning around 500 kilocalories together is sufficient.
Thank you, ma'am. Morning drink, if taken for many days, causes acidity. In that condition, how to manage?
See, these diets and everything has to be given only till they reach their proper weight. Because see, this is the spices which we are giving, they causes acidity. So post 6 months, 6 weeks, we ask them to stop it for some time and again shift it to once or twice in a week. So this is how that's what it differs from Pitta Prakriti. People cannot take it at all, but Kapha Prakriti it is fine. And Vata Prakriti they'll never consistently take it because they forget, they'll have excuses for it. But we tell them based on their Prakriti and based on their weight, we ask them to shift it to alternate days or once or twice in a week.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Participants with queries can send their queries in the link provided in the chat box. I think that's it with the question. Yeah, one more question, ma'am.
Yeah.
Hello, ma'am. Can you please comment on intermediate fasting?
Yeah, usually see, this is something, see, Ayurveda also explains on this only. We have different, see, Ayurveda is actually the proper living lifestyle. You have your dinacharya, you have your eating rules, etc. But when we started when life started becoming more easier, we switched on to a bad lifestyle. Intermediate or intermittent fasting, what happens is you have to have a eating window and a fasting window. Eating window is sometime it will be restricted to certain hours wherein you consume whatever is required, how much calorie you are supposed to take, you take it in that much time. Post that, till the next eating window you will not have anything. So usually we start with somewhere around 10 to 14 hours of fasting window. Ayurveda, how it says is, see, you have to have 2 meals a day, dvibhojana, and the time between two meals should be minimum 9 hours. So morning you have, the next meal is in the evening. So intermittent, they've just made it into a little bit more thing. There are people who have 2 hours eating window, 22 hours fasting window. So they don't eat for 22 hours, and whatever they eat is for 2 hours. I don't agree on this long fasting window. Some people they just do this 1 meal a day also, which gives very fast results. But I prefer to use the 2 meals a day plan, have their breakfast, and somewhere around 5 have something else, stop eating till the next day. So what happens is when you want to go for this type of diet, start including the hours you sleep. So usually most of us sleep for 6 to 8 hours, adding 2 hours here and 2 hours there. So you will get eight. If you are sleeping for 6 hours, you get a 4 hours added on 4 hours. You get 10 hours of fasting period. And once you are comfortable in that, again make it 2 hours. You can maximum go up to 14 to 16 hours of fasting window, and the rest is the eating window. I prefer 2 meals. This is my personal choice. Only 2 meals a day, not 1 meal a day. But 1 meal a day will give you still more faster results. But what happens is people tend to overeat and cause Agni Mandya.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, will intermittent fasting reduce metabolism?
No, see, people have just put it in a new name. Ayurveda advocates this. It is Dvibhojana, having a time gap of, Ayurveda says 3 yamas between 2 meals. So that is 9 hours. So this is something, it is just having food once. I told you, many people do it in the wrong way. They just overeat and keep it, reduces your metabolism. But if you plan intermittent fasting in the proper way, it gives you very nice results. So ideally we give 1 week of intermittent fasting also in the diet chart.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, how can we have a balanced diet in hostel when we start a balanced diet and exercise?
See, uh, whatever I do is, see, once when someone comes to me for a weight loss or planning this, I ask them the food. We give them a Google form asking them to fill in their daily food habits, whatever is available. And see, there are a lot of, like, you have the rice, white rice and everything, which is not possible. But actually maybe with little bit effort here and there, you can have a balanced diet. But it will be customized based on the requirements, I mean the provision you have there. But every time we can tweak it a little bit to make it balanced diet. It takes a lot of, you have to understand the principles of it, you have to understand the concept, how we have to plan it. It is a very it's a new learning curve that you have to study and find for yourself.
Thank you, ma'am. Participants with any more queries can send their queries in the link provided in the chat box. I think that's it with the questions, ma'am. So can we conclude, ma'am?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. With that, we come to an end of today's webinar. Quoting Sidney D. Henrys, the whole purpose of education is to turn mirrors into window. Once again, thank you, ma'am, for sharing your time with us. Wishing you all a great evening ahead. Once again, thank you all. Good night.